The world often remembers legends for their music, their influence, and their art. But behind every legend, there is a story that rarely gets told. The story of the person who shaped them, stood by them, and carried them through their darkest moments. For Christopher Wallace, better known as the Notorious B.I.G., that person was his mother, Voletta Wallace. She was not just the woman who gave birth to a rap icon. She was his protector, his guiding force, and the keeper of his legacy. Her love, unwavering and unconditional, was the foundation upon which he built his dreams. Even after suffering the unimaginable loss of her only son, she turned her grief into purpose, becoming a voice for justice and a beacon of strength for the hip-hop community. Her passing at the age of 78 marks the end of an era, but her influence will live on forever. She was not just the mother of a rap legend, she was a legend in her own right. Today, as we reflect on her life, we honor a woman of resilience, integrity, and unshakable love. Born in Trelawney, Jamaica, in 1953, Voletta Wallace grew up in a humble but loving home, shaped by the rich cultural heritage and strong values of her upbringing. Life in Jamaica was simple yet deeply rooted in community, family, and perseverance. From an early age, she was taught that hard work and education were the keys to success. Her parents, who were hardworking and dedicated individuals, instilled in her the importance of discipline, integrity, and resilience. These qualities would later define not only her personal journey, but also her role as a devoted mother. Growing up in the rural landscapes of Trelawney, Voletta experienced a tight-knit community where neighbors looked out for one another and traditions were passed down through generations. She learned the value of kindness, unity, and support, principles that would remain central to her life. Despite the economic challenges faced by many in Jamaica, she embraced the opportunities that education provided, displaying a natural love for learning and an insatiable thirst for knowledge. Her academic abilities set her apart, and she excelled in school, dreaming of a future that extended beyond the borders of her homeland. However, despite her ambition and dedication, opportunities in Jamaica were limited, and she longed for a better life, one where she could fully realize her potential. Like many before her, she saw the United States as a land of promise, a place where hard work and determination could lead to success. Fueled by this vision, she made the courageous decision to leave Jamaica in search of new opportunities. In her early 20s, Voletta Wallace immigrated to the United States, settling in Brooklyn, New York. The transition was not easy. The bustling streets of Brooklyn were vastly different from the serene landscapes of Jamaica. She faced challenges adjusting to a new culture, a different climate, and an unfamiliar way of life. But she was determined. Brooklyn, with its vibrant yet harsh realities, became her new home, a place filled with both struggles and endless possibilities. To support herself, Voletta took on work as a preschool teacher, a profession she would dedicate much of her life to. Teaching was more than just a job for her. It was a calling. She believed in the power of education and the potential of young minds. She worked tirelessly, sometimes holding multiple jobs to make ends meet. But, no matter how exhausting the days were, she never wavered in her commitment to providing for herself and, eventually, for her son. This bold move would not only shape her destiny, but also set the foundation for her son's future, as she embarked on a journey that would change both their lives forever. On May 21, 1972, Voletta welcomed her son, Christopher George Latore Wallace, into the world. From the moment she held him in her arms, she made a promise to love him, protect him, and give him a life filled with opportunities. She raised him as a single mother, ensuring that he always had what he needed to succeed. Their apartment in Bedford-Stuyvesant was small, but it was filled with love, laughter, and a mother's unwavering dedication. Being a single mother in Brooklyn was no easy task. The neighborhood was riddled with crime, poverty, and violence. She worked tirelessly, sometimes holding multiple jobs, to ensure that Christopher never went without food, clothing, or the encouragement to dream big. She was strict yet nurturing, instilling in him the same values she had learned from her own upbringing. She demanded that he focus on school, emphasizing the importance of education. However, the temptations of the streets were strong. The 1980s were a turbulent time in Brooklyn, with drugs and crime dominating the environment. No matter how much she tried to shield Christopher from the harsh realities outside their door, she could not completely protect him from the world he was growing up in. Raising Christopher Wallace as a single mother in Brooklyn was no easy task for Voletta Wallace. She worked tirelessly as a preschool teacher, determined to provide her son with a stable home and a future filled with opportunities. She emphasized the importance of education, hoping he would use his intelligence to carve out a respectable life for himself. Christopher was naturally bright and charismatic, but as he grew older, he became increasingly drawn to the realities of the streets around him. Despite his mother's efforts, he started skipping school and seeking ways to make money that Voletta did not approve of. She could see the changes in him, his late nights, the secrecy, and the company he kept. Her worst fears were confirmed when she discovered drugs hidden in his bedroom. She was devastated. "Christopher, I didn't raise you for this," she told him, her voice laced with anger, disappointment, and deep concern. But Christopher had his own dreams bigger than the struggles they faced in Brooklyn. Despite the hardships, one thing about Christopher was undeniable: his talent for storytelling. He would sit on the steps of their apartment building, freestyling with friends, turning the struggles of his life into raw, poetic verses. His deep, commanding voice, coupled with his sharp wit, made him stand out. It wasn't long before Sean Puffy Combs recognized his talent, offering him a chance to turn his words into something greater. With that, Christopher became the Notorious, B.I.G., a name that would soon resonate across the world, changing hip-hop forever. Rather than drowning in grief, Voletta turned her pain into purpose. She founded the Christopher Wallace Memorial Foundation, dedicated to helping underprivileged youth. She also played a key role in posthumous projects, helping to produce films and documentaries about Biggie's life. She ensured that his name would always be associated with positive change. In her later years, Voletta Wallace found peace in knowing that her son's legacy was secure. She spent her final years in Pennsylvania, surrounded by family. On February 22, 2025, Voletta Wallace passed away at the age of 78 due to natural causes. On a quiet morning in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, family, friends, and admirers gathered to say their final goodbyes to Voletta Wallace. The air was thick with sorrow, yet an undeniable sense of reverence filled the space. This was more than a farewell. It was a celebration of a woman who had endured unimaginable pain and still found the strength to carry on. Through heartbreak, loss, and struggle, she remained steadfast, ensuring that her son's name, legacy, and truth were never forgotten. The church was adorned with beautiful floral arrangements, their fragrance mingling with the soft sounds of gospel hymns playing in the background. Along the walls, portraits of Voletta told the story of her remarkable journey, from her humble beginnings in Jamaica to her years as a devoted mother and the unwavering guardian of her son's legacy. At the center of it all stood a touching photograph of her and Christopher, frozen in time, their bond unbroken by distance, tragedy, or loss. Her beloved grandchildren, Tiana Wallace and Christopher Jordan Wallace, stood before the mourners, their voices trembling with emotion as they shared memories of the woman who had shaped their lives. "She taught me that pain does not define us," Christopher said, his voice heavy with emotion. "What we do with it does. She never stopped fighting for my father, and now we will carry her legacy forward." In the front pews, Lil' Kim, Diddy, and Faith Evans sat in silent reflection, their faces etched with grief. These were people who had known not only Christopher, but also the woman who had loved him unconditionally. When Faith Evans took the stage to perform "I'll Be Missing You," her voice trembled with emotion, yet it rang through the church with haunting beauty. The congregation wept as her words carried through the air, a whispered goodbye to the woman who had fought so hard for her son's memory. As the ceremony drew to a close, mourners stepped outside to witness the release of white doves, a symbol of peace, freedom, and eternal love. A single red rose was gently placed on Voletta's casket as Christopher Jordan Wallace whispered, "Rest now, Grandma. Tell Dad we miss him." The world mourned once again, but her legacy remains unshakable. Her story is one of resilience, love, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her son. And as we say goodbye, we must ask ourselves, how will we honor the mothers who stand behind legends? What will we do to ensure her story is never forgotten?